Glad you're here. Very good morning to you. And have a look at this. This is Misty. Thanks, Lori, for sending in this video. Yeah, the snow fell throughout Newfoundland. It's going to be an issue again today with the sea effect snow. Rachel Schutz and Jaclyn Whittal here with you.
You have a doggie. Does your doggie like snow?
She does, but she is not that skilled.
No.
She wouldn't catch those.
No, okay, my dog loves snow as well. My dog, however, does have a new sweater, even though she doesn't really need it. It's purely for looks. But maybe you would need it as a dog with temperatures like this, Rachel.
Oh, absolutely. It is cold everywhere. We're looking at Arctic outflow in BC and then temperatures like that in Atlantic Canada. And this trough here, it's going to help some of the enhancement of seeing that sea effect snow. So for places along the western edge, even Inverness County, PEI, you're getting into some snow today.
Yeah, and I would say, you know, really this has probably been the heaviest snow we've seen all season on the East Coast is because of the sea effect.
Around -4, but with the wind chill, things are going to be feeling a lot cooler. So when we look at temperatures like this, big difference compared to what we saw, well, a few weeks ago when temperatures were quite mild. And another engine has been fired up.
Yes,
that's the snow squall.
That's the snow squall, that's right. So we have some heavy bands that are expected west of Barrie today, even through Barrie, 5 to 15, the heavier snow, 15 to 25 centimeters. And of course, this is going to be over New Year's Eve. I used to spend my New Year's Eve in Barrie skating in the city square. Last year, Rachel, you spent your New Year's Eve in Vegas.
I did. I spent New Year's in Vegas. It was amazing.
Was it?
Wonderful. Best New Year's ever because they closed down the strip and you can just party and walk along the strip. So I couldn't imagine what it would be like.
Right? So there's a note from Rachel and I. Don't wear your sparkly little dress. Make sure you bundle up.
Oh, you will. You will. And this extreme cold right across the prairies, you'll have to bundle up for this as well. When we see this is when wind chill really becomes a concern.
Absolutely. And the criteria out in the prairies is at least -40, it is. And then in the extreme north, -50. That's when we get those extreme cold alerts. Still the case on the west coast, too. We've seen this Arctic outflow in the last 24 hours. It is chilly. And that's going to slide south, and that cold air is really what's going to be the trigger for that potential Vegas snow. So what's coming up today? More talk on the extreme cold wind chill and, of course, lake effect and sea effect snow. And great news on the flight. Air Asia found. So great news, not a great ending, but at least they found it. And it's so nice to have you along. It is a Tuesday. Can you believe tomorrow is New Year's Eve? Who's excited? Who's going to be cold? All of you. Yes, you heard it from me first. It's going to be chilly right across the country, but could this be a sign of what's to come? Here's a look at our temperature forecast map here. This is moving a little bit slow, but basically you can see this cold air is -10 to -20, and we get a bit of a break actually as we get into the later part of the weekend. And then the colder air floods in again. And could that be some of the coldest air we've seen so far this winter? Possibly. Cloud, the Ducks are having a nice day. Here's your temperatures for today. -7 with the wind chill for Toronto, -6 in Barrie. Let's go to Barrie and join Mike Arsenault, who is live with us this morning. Good morning, Mike. Do you know, I used to spend every New Year's Eve down in the city of Barrie, skating at the pond. There was always bands. How excited are people for New Year's Eve in Barrie? That's right. Looks like the lake effect machine getting primed and ready. Thanks, Mike. We'll chat with you soon. Yeah, that cloud cover is definitely moisture off the lake. So I always say, you know, if you didn't live near the Great Lakes, you might have a sunny day today, but not when you have moisture moving in off the lake. So squalls are expecting to pick up. Temperatures, as Mike said, it's going to be very cold, -20s, -30s, especially in the extreme north, but all of that expected to move as close to the GTA tonight. So we could be feeling like -18, -20 in parts of the GTA tonight. So bundle up if you have any plans for tonight and, of course, tomorrow night. Make sure you're dressed for it. So there's the lake effect forecast, 15 to 25 centimeters in the southern shores of Georgian Bay and the eastern shores. All of these bands are going to switch kind of in this direction for tomorrow. So cottage country, Parry Sound, get ready for a white New Year's Eve. Maybe not timed perfectly for Christmas, but enjoy it to ring in the new year. We'll be back with much more. Welcome back on this Tuesday. We bring you some, I guess, good but still sad news regarding Air Asia Flight 8501. If you haven't heard already, it has been found. This was the last known position, and now I guess the search area has been basically shrunken down to about the size of the Greater Toronto Area, if you know that, so the GTA. They have seen some pieces of debris in the water. There's a bit of an underwater shadow of the plane found, but there's some strong winds in the area, so that's kind of hindering some of these efforts in basically collecting the debris and, unfortunately, the deceased. So we'll bring you the latest as more comes in from this top story. All right, from the north not just kind of chilly, really, really chilly. As Mike Arsenault called it a minute ago, prairie kind of chilly. That's the kind of cold we're talking about, ushering in minus 20s overnight, minus 18 for many areas. But right now this afternoon feeling like minus 10. Let's bring Mike in. Mike, so you kind of said, all right, it's Ontario cold, not prairie cold. But did you know, speaking to one of our meteorologists behind the scenes, we are yet to experience next week some of the coldest air we've seen of the season. So where does that fall? Does that fall under prairie cold or Ontario cold? Before we let you know, the gauge I always like to use is, are your nostrils frozen yet?
The hair, I can feel maybe some icicles. I think they've turned into icicles, yeah.
Okay, thanks for the nose hair update. All right, let's go here to the snow squall watch for Wawa, Batchewana Bay. All kidding aside, you know, I lived in Regina, Saskatchewan for a year, and I remember walking outside, whether it's minus 25 or minus 45, your nostrils freeze, and you know it. It's like, it is cold, and you got to plug your car in. This afternoon, lake effect flurries continuing. We have that west-northwest wind, and then it'll be switching. You can actually see the model doing that. By tomorrow, heavier bands moving in through Cottage Country, Parry Sound, which will make for a beautiful New Year's Eve if you're looking to do some outdoor activities in Cottage Country. Welcome back. I'm Jaclyn Whittal. So last year, Ann Arbor, Michigan, the Leafs and the Wings played in the Winter Classic, and the Leafs won in a shootout. Just saying, Mom and Dad who are Wings fans. All right, so this year it's the Winter Classic 2015. 5 degrees will be face-off temperature with lots of sunshine. It's the Washington Capitals and the Chicago Blackhawks. If you're a hockey fan, you're probably looking forward to this. All right, we still have the Arctic outflow warnings in place for Terrace and Stewart, so still a lot of cold air at play. And all of that cold air is expected to dive all the way down south, bringing enough cold air to support snow as far south as Las Vegas. You've probably heard about this. Anyway, let's go to that's Cypress Mountain, actually. Let's go here to our temperatures this afternoon. Plenty of cold air to make snow here. I bet you're really wanting that on top of your almost minus 30 wind chills, right, in the prairies. This morning it's going to be frigid, and it's going to continue that way. You'll get a bit of a break, if you can call minus teens a bit of a break, before we're back into some of the coldest air of the season. All right, let's take a look here at the snow squall watches. Wawa, Batchewana Bay. We'll go to Barrie, where we find Mike Arsenault. Mike, I lived in Barrie in the south end for about 8 or 9 years. I know lake effect snow, and I love lake effect snow. And even when you live there and you're done with shoveling, you almost still want more when you live up there. What's the reaction when you talk to people and say, okay, more's on the way? It's all relative. And you know, Christmas Eve, Mike, I was ready to go chase a thunderstorm in my car because it was 10 degrees and there was a chance of thunderstorms. So what a wacky year. All right, let's talk about the lake effect snow. He is right. It will actually feel warm by the time we're here next week, because it's going to really cool down. 15 to 25 centimeters. Barrie, you could see about 5 to 15. It's going to be lovely, though. Tomorrow night's going to be a really nice night. Let's take a look ahead. The next system we're tracking, it's going to be a piece of a clipper, and then a system that's moving through. That's the same energy from Vegas. Could this be a big winter storm on the way for Saturday and a Sunday? We're saying low to moderate confidence. We'll be back with much more details. Go to the weather conditions. Tyler Stewart, a little bit of flurry activity. Could you see more over New Year's? We'll have all those details, what you can expect. But I want to show you this. December 29th, the Great Lakes ice coverage is so vastly different from last year. Now, keep in mind that from December into January to February, we really started to freeze up the lakes rapidly because we were so cold. It was actually an above average year in terms of its lake ice coverage. But look at this. Last year, we were 17% frozen over on Huron. Erie was about 10% frozen over. Now, zero. So what's that mean? It means the lake effect machine has all the potential in the world. It is primed, oiled, and ready to go. And Barrie, you're going to be expecting some flurries and some heavy snow, actually 5 to 15 centimeters as the day goes on. Let's go live to Mike Arsenault. Nice backdrop behind you, Mike. You're right down by the water. Can you see visually if...
No, I wouldn't do that just yet unless you brought your Speedo with you.
Well, hopefully you did. All right, let's take a look here at the snow flurries on the radar. You can see into Sault Ste. Marie. We're looking at some snow flurries over Lake Superior. Minus 11 temperatures this afternoon, minus 3 for you in Hamilton. But get ready for the drop in temperatures as these winds start to increase later on this afternoon and the evening. You can see over the lakes, that's indicating 40 to 60 sustained and gusts beyond that. That's what's really going to kick up our wind chill values. And then by tomorrow night, dress for a chilly New Year's Eve because the temperatures will be low and the wind chill will be active. How much snow through Cottage Country? 2 to 5 centimeters through Wednesday night. So this is New Year's Eve. Parry Sound, maybe 2 to 5 centimeters, 5 to 15 for Barrie, and even more around the shores of Georgian Bay. So you've got some nice snow. Isn't it beautiful there? And it really does look pretty. That, of course, is mostly sea effect. So we have this upper level piece of energy that's going to be triggering that, continuing today. But the bulk of the snow you've really seen this season, I would say, especially in Newfoundland, has been triggered by sea effect, and it's been as of lately. That's because temperatures have been so mild. Well, not for very long. In fact, could we see some of the coldest air that we've seen yet this season? We'll be back with more. Well, here's looking at you, Shelburne, Nova Scotia. Little birdie. It's a woodpecker, actually. You ever actually heard a woodpecker? It's pretty neat. Here's what's neat, too. You're finally going to be getting back to temperatures that reflect winter. You know, all the rain and the double digits that we've seen in Nova Scotia. Not the case now. In fact, look at the snow potential. This is through Wednesday night, 5 to 15 centimeters on the western shores of Newfoundland. A lot of this is sea effect still. And then we have a bit of an upper level disturbance that's going to bring a bit of snow as well. So even to the western shores of Cape Breton Island, 2 to 5 for you in PEI. And then look at the forecast into the long range. It is cold. So it's cold for Wednesday, Thursday, of course, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Then it's a bit of a warm up, and that'll be right across the country, a bit of a warm up before we get into some of the coldest air. Not maybe for you in St. John's, but coldest air for the rest of the country we've seen this year. By the way, a few scattered flurries. It's kind of Vegas-y there. Las Vegas might be getting snow, likely will be getting a couple centimeters of snow on New Year's Eve. How much fun will the party be down on the Strip in Las Vegas with snowfall? Here's some snowfall as well coming up on our model. This is some lake effect snow over the next few days. It'll start as a west-northwest wind. That means into Barrie, and then it'll switch as we get into tomorrow and tomorrow evening into a west-southwest wind. So that means areas like Parry Sound, Cottage Country, even as far north as the Nickel Belt. If those bands reach as far inland, you could be getting into a very white New Year's Eve. So maybe not a white Christmas, but a white New Year's Eve. Someone was Tyler Hamilton, our meteorologist behind the scenes, said if you're partying in Parry Sound, it's going to look really beautiful. You're going to want to go out and see some fireworks outside. It's going to be really pretty. So here you go, 15 to 25 centimeters in the white. Barrie could pick up 5 to 15 centimeters. Maybe you're doing some skating downtown Barrie. I know that's always fun on New Year's Eve. So it's going to be snowy. It's going to be pretty. It's going to be cold. So make sure you bundle up. Even in downtown Toronto, minus 14 with the wind chill. We get a little bit of a warm up once again on New Year's Day and the next day, and then back into some of the coldest air of the season. Extreme cold warnings still widespread across the prairies. We'll be back more with the West story and when you finally get into some warmer air. It's a Tuesday. We're one day closer to New Year's Eve. If you have plans, make sure it involves a parka. Yeah, you're going to need to be very warm tomorrow night. Extreme cold and wind chill. We'll hit on that this hour. Lake effect snow and sea effect snow, both kinds. And some sad news, but I guess good news for folks that want to put closure on the Air Asia Flight 8501. This has been found. We'll give you what we know up to this point, and that'll like spring in your backyard, but it hasn't felt like spring. No, it's been cold. We've had the Arctic outflow situation going on, which means that we've had some of the coldest air from the poles channeled right into coastal regions, and that's going to be the case again. So it still sticks around this afternoon, this evening. That high pressure diving south, bringing enough cold air in place for snow even in the Four Corners states, Las Vegas. So instead of fireworks, you're just going to look up, it'll be white on New Year's Eve, potentially. All right, so watching this system here, that'll bring some snow and some rain, and then a new piece of energy. Notice this blue up at the top of my screen. That's going to be a clipper that's going to move through quickly and merge with the same energy that's down in the southwest in the States. That becomes a potential weekend storm for Ontario. We're all over it. We're watching the model data and let you know how that can affect your weekend plans. Don't change any plans yet, but keep it here and we'll have the details. Minus 15 in Grand Prairie this morning, minus 19 in Calgary. It is going to warm up slightly. I know this doesn't look very warm. Minus 41 this morning in Brandon, Manitoba. But you are going to get a bit of a warm up, but then you're back into potentially even colder numbers than what you just saw there into the long range. So not great news if you are looking for a warm up. All right, let's talk about these temperatures. Minus 2 for Toronto. We are looking at minus 3 for Hamilton this afternoon. Snow squall watch in place for the northwest, Batchewana Bay off Superior. You could be seeing 15 to 25 centimeters in the white. The blue is a little less. That means the same for you, Barrie, in the blue, 5 to 15 centimeters. This is for today into tomorrow night. This is all lake effect snow. All we need are those open lake waters, relatively warmer than the air above. And it certainly is. It says temperatures of the lakes are around 5-6 degrees Celsius still. We have air above it that is frigid. So we need that 13-degree difference, lots in the way of potential snowfall. In fact, let's bring Mike Arsenault in. So And always remember that the polar vortex is really a feature that is always there near the poles. It's just a matter of when those pieces break off and we get to experience it. We have cold temperatures, cross polar flow, which means a lot of the cold air that we're going to see into the long range is coming all the way from Russia. That happens from time to time. Happened a lot last year. Take a look at this. Minus 20s, minus 30s. This is Saturday. Get a little break on Friday and Saturday. Well, more like Friday, but then a bigger push of cold air moves in. Could it be the coldest of the season? I know you don't want to hear that, but you know, it's been fairly mild. Some fresh snow in Newfoundland, courtesy of some lake effect snow. Temperatures minus 14 in Halifax with the wind chill. Say goodbye to those double digits that you saw a couple weeks back. Winds are out of the west. It's going to make those temperatures feel a little colder, and we aren't really used to it. You know, we were saying that earlier in Ontario, same deal where our headquarters are. You know, there's different levels of cold. There's prairie cold, because you've got to be the toughest in the country as far as cold. And then there's Ontario cold and East Coast cold, and then Vancouver cold. It's all relative, right? You drop down to 0 and it's cold. So 5 to 15 centimeters still in the forecast, lake effect snow, or sea effect, I should say, and then lake effect snow in Ontario as well. But we're really watching another potential system after we get past the lake effect snow. It's going to be a piece of energy from the prairies, known as an Alberta Clipper. It's a fast-moving little bit of business, and then it merges with a much bigger bit of business. You can see that's the system that could potentially bring some snow into Las Vegas. So it's all sort of building down to the southwest. I love connecting the dots. Tyler Hamilton, one of our meteorologists, said that this morning. It's like this piece of energy phases with this, and it all makes potentially a big storm. So we'll see if that actually plays out to be a big storm. We're low to moderately confident in that right now, but we're not going to count all our chickens quite yet. We're going to have a look at this. We're going to keep an eye on the models to let you know how it could affect your weekend, because still a lot of people doing some traveling, especially this weekend coming back from their holiday season. All right, let's go to Barrie and we'll talk about the wind chill. I know it's frigid out there, but we need those cool temperatures to get the lake effect machine going. Mike? All right, thanks a lot to Mike for that. We'll get an update from him as well. And yes, he is very bundled up, needed till tomorrow as well.